As the story begins, we see a goddess with long flowing blonde hair, sincerely welcoming everyone as the chosen heroes to the world of Fantasia. Students in uniform are staring back with looks of surprise and puzzlement at this unexpected turn of events. This all happened at the end of the day, when the homeroom teacher stepped out of the classroom for a bit. Everyone was ported to this place. One guy asks, "Where are we?" wondering if this was some kind of a prank. While another is amazed at what is happening, and wondering, is this really another world? A girl screams that her phone isn't working. A guy mentions that the floors are made of clouds, while another wonders if this is real. Suddenly, the goddess unfurls her majestic wings, capturing their attention, and as feathers cascade down, says that they do not have to be wary. While looking at the ensemble of students before her, tells them that due to the resurrection of the great demon lord, they have been summoned to save Fantasia, which is in grave danger, by her. At this, the students show signs of fear and hesitation. Some with panicking wondering, is this really happening? Are we really in another world? The goddess with a calm smile says that soon, they will all be transported to a temple in Fantasia. There, a saintess who had received her prophecy will be welcoming them, and will make sure they get adjusted to this new world. One of the guys, Oh Han-woo, asks if there are levels, skill status windows, and monsters like games in this world. Goddess confirmed. Then a girl named Jang Mi-eun asks if this is medieval, will there be princes and knights? Goddess confirmed. A boy, Choi Kongmin, wondering if one of them will be a real hero. No. They can all be heroes, but their strengths will not be equal. Depending on the acknowledgements and the blessing each of them receives, they can be reborn as a real hero. Then the class president, Yubo-ra, asks the most important question, when will they be able to return home? The goddess does not have an actual answer to this, but tells her if you defeat the demon lord, the gods who gave them their blessings will grant their wishes. Then everyone started to bombard the goddess with their questions, but as the questions dragged on, the answers became less detailed. Then finally our main character raises his hand and requests to be sent back home. Since he has no interest in becoming a hero, and there is nothing for him to do here. The goddess asks him a pointed question. The world is on the verge of collapsing, so why does he want to turn a blind eye, just to go back to his normal life? Kam Han-soo replies, how can he save the world, when he makes his family worry? The goddess thinks for a moment and asks if there is anyone else who is not interested in becoming a hero, like him, to step forward. No one comes forward, and he is left standing alone by a portal. He enters the portal and arrives in the middle of a dark forest. As he was thinking this might be far away from school, he heard footsteps behind him. As he turned to see who it was, he was shocked to see werewolf-like monsters standing carrying a corpse of an elf. In his mind, he was thinking he should have known better than to trust a goddess who kidnaps high school students to solve the problems of her world. As panic grips him, staring at salivating monsters, he quickly turns around to run at full speed, fearing for his life, while the monsters chased after him, calling him meat with short ears. Eat gross. In the city of Sanctuary, Prolagugina, our would-be heroes are transported to the temple by a ray of gold light. As their eyes started to adjust to their new surroundings, the voice of the saintess welcomes them. The saintess makes the introduction saying, she is the saintess of the Grand Temple, and standing next to her with blonde hair and blue uniform is Alsa's Swordmaster, Prince of Swordmaster Kingdom in the northern region. He will be the swordsmanship instructor for the heroes. The high school girls started fawn all over him, calling him a real prince, while the guys had stoic faces. Meanwhile, the saintess was asking the maids about the lateness of the princess. She came rushing through the doors shouting, sorry, I drank alcohol and slept in. Addressing her as Princess Athena, the saintess praises her for her honesty, which is both her strength and weakness, and comments that she didn't have to say the second line. The princess, while saying if she made another mistake, trips over her own feet and falls to the ground, complains that the temple floor are slippery. To which the students stare at her incredulously. Then someone shouted cute and changed the mood of the room. She is Athena Archmazing, the princess of Archmazing Kingdom south of the temple. Who will be the magic instructor of the heroes? Both the prince and the princess will be supporting alongside the heroes. The students starts to open up their status windows, which has the following categories: name, level, blessing, curse, and ratio. They all have the blessing hero, which gives the hero auto-translate for friendly races and boost to their experience points. How to obtain the blessing of the gods was asked, and the saintess answered that in order to receive a blessing, the gods must like you, and the standard is different from god to god. Upon saying so, a pop-up message appears saying that a certain god is gladly watching over the hero's bodies. Then additional pop-up messages starts to appear all around. In this world, if you are lucky enough to catch the eye of a god and get their favor, you can have the powers to be a hero, and if you are unlucky then you will remain a trash. An adventure in this fantasy world is about to start for these students, who are filled with hopes and dreams. As for our main character, he is huffing and puffing in the dark woods, running for his life. As he leans on a tree to catch his breath, he regrets not having done enough exercises. His musings are shattered by the sudden thud of a spear, embedding itself into the tree beside him, shocking him back to reality. As he looks behind him, to see the werewolves are getting closer and their eerie chant for meat, meat. There was nothing hard to think about, monsters like these do not exist on Earth, and he was tricked by the person who calls herself a goddess. Since from the very beginning, she had no plans of sending any of them back. As he was running away, thinking only a miracle could save him now, he somehow opened his status window. In surprise, he looked at and wondered why his hero listed under curses. Curse, hero, it auto-translated languages for hostile races, and massively decreased his experience points. What the F? This cruel penalty was given to him by the so-called goddess, who wanted him dead. He was thinking that this curse might allow him to talk with these monsters, so he tried to communicate. But it soon became apparent that even if they understood him, it would not change his situation. As he soon ran out of energy, the werewolves were almost upon him. He asked forgiveness from his parents for going first, and blamed all this on that damned goddess. Suddenly, he heard words he could not understand being spoken around him. Then an arrow struck him in the leg, causing him to fall on the ground. When he looked up, he saw several elven archers in the trees in front of him. Upon seeing them, the werewolves chasing after Hansu had new targets for their hunger, shouting out fairy meat. For this story, fairy and elf, same difference. While the two groups started to fight each other, our hero took this chance to crawl away. In an area away from the fighting, he leaned against a tree and started to think about what to do next. Should he pray to the gods? But wasn't the goddess the ringleader behind all his misfortune? He would rather die than pray to that god. As he was thinking, he had no choice but to die. A transparent hooded figure stood behind a tree watching him. Then a pop-up message appears before Kong Hansu, a certain god peaks. Some god is observing. He didn't know what was going on. With tears running down his face, he asked to be saved. Some god asks why he is alone. He was going to say due to a bloody goddess who kidnapped him against his will, but thought better of it since he didn't know if this god was a friend or foe. Instead, he asked to be saved first, since he was dying from the pain. The god is conflicted. Hansu started to ask if there was another god who can help him out. The god is puzzled. They mumble that there are no other gods. They say it's good no other gods are here. Upon seeing this, he asked if the god was an outsider. The god wonders what that term means. Hansu, thinking that if he gave him the normal explanation, he might end up with a strange curse, decided to just tell him that outsider means a lone wolf running through the wilderness. The god understands what an outsider means. Our hero congratulated himself on a job well done. The god thinks they are an outsider. The person in the hood stands proudly. Hoping that all went well, our hero asks to be saved. The god asks if you too are an outsider. What the hell? He was remembering, back in school he was an insider, not an outsider, but... With sweat dripping down his face, he lied and said he was an outsider. That is why his friends got summoned to the temple, and he ended up falling here. For the sake of his revenge and survival, he was willing to put his pride and identity aside for now. The god wonders whether they should help the poor outsider. The god is reminiscent of their better past and is conflicted. Hansu interrupted the god's thought, saying that it's only common sense for outsiders to help each other, and it shouldn't matter to a god who wasn't human. But inside thinking, is it really? If you have a friend and help each other, are you really an outsider? Forget it, he had to pitch this unrealistic idea to the god, since he was in a hurry. The god says that there's no such thing like that. As the hooded god raises his hand, a shiny sphere starts to appear in his hand. The god helps the poor outsider. The sphere is thrown at the arrow in his leg, and the arrow starts to disappear along with his pain. As he stands up and thanks the god for saving him, he also notices that his body feels lighter. The god looks proudly at the outsider who has been healed. As Hansu looks at his status window, he notices a new blessing called Outsider F Blessing, Outsider. All conditions except death are reset for outsiders. When a lone wolf leaves the wilderness, something scary happens. The MC wondered what the lone wolf and the blessing meant. He asks if he quits being an outsider and becomes an insider, would he receive divine retribution? A certain god clearly states that they are helping only loners. While the fighting is still going on nearby, Hansu tries to silently sneak away, but forgets to grab his backpack. Anyway, due to the hero curse, he can't talk with people in the first place, except monsters, so he really can't complain about being an outsider. In a way, he is forced to be an outsider. As he steps on some twig, it alerts the monsters nearby, causing them to chase after him, shouting, "Lunch is running away!" As the werewolf tries to grab him, but Hansu is able to run fast enough to be beyond his reach. He thinks about the god's blessing he received. Not only did it take away the injury and pain, he no longer felt exhausted while running at full speed. The monsters chasing after him couldn't keep up since they were getting exhausted. One of the monsters threw a rock and hit the back of our hero's head. The god is watching with a nervous heart. Just as Hansu was about to stumble, he planted his feet again and with an evil grin, kept on running. He praised God for his amazing blessing, and the god in the green hood was very pleased. Not only did my fatigue and injuries disappear, but even in this situation he was able to keep a cool head and maintain his composure. The monsters chasing him were getting tired, so they resorted to verbal attacks to get our hero to stop and become their lunch. All conditions except death are reset, so that as long as he didn't get one shot, even from fatal wounds, he would be able to reset. Upon running to an edge of the cliff, he comes to a stop. Looking down, he asks God if he would die if he jumped off this cliff. The god congratulates you, because at this height, you would die. Funny god. As he turns around to face the monsters, he is given a choice, a cliff in front of him or the monsters behind him. It's time to decide. He turns to the werewolves and offers a suggestion. To the one who catches him first, he would give the most delicious parts. At these words, the monsters all charge towards him to catch him. As they crowd together towards the edge of the cliff, our hero uses this obsession of theirs to his advantage and takes the whole crowd with him over the cliff. As he slowly opens his eye, he realizes he isn't dead. His whole body feels like it's been crushed flat, but it's just in his mind, since his body is unharmed. Some god admires the survival skills of the outsider. As he crawls out from the pile of corpses, he tells the god not to mention it. One of the monster who survived the fall points his sword at our hero, saying, "Meet my lunch." To his surprise, a status window for the monster pops up showing the name Blue Moon Meat Cutter and level 3. He remarks that to have survived such a high fall without a blessing could be due to his high level. Since this monster is higher level to him, it should offer a lot of experience. Thinking this, Hansu picks up a rock and is about to strike the monster with fierce determination. Meanwhile, back at the temple, the saintess is giving a lesson saying that levels and blessings are the two ways they can all get stronger. As she continues with her sermon, one student just yawns and thinks this is just a waste of time. Another silently prays to the gods to bless him, since he is what they are looking for. The saintess lets them know that just receiving a blessing is not the end, but that the gods are always watching them. To which someone inquires, even to a toilet or when they take a shower? She confirms that there are no exceptions, since gods should not be judged on vulgar human standards. Then pop-ups start to appear. A male god says not to be wary of them. Some gods say they are not interested in vulgar things. A wind god insists it's no different than air to them. To which the class rep replies, "Really?" Then a blonde girl speaks up saying, it should be obvious since they are gods, if they were interested in these things, at least they would give blessings. Some evil god compliments with a thumbs up. A wind god highly appreciates clear judgment. To which the blonde giggles, then suddenly a glow appears before her, and in her status window, 2 new blessings have appeared, braveness F and charm F. She is surprised and jumps up in happiness. At this, the other students are shocked. Then a guy in glasses remarks, "What does this skill have to do with suppressing the demon?" In the next moment a scent fills the air as the blonde strikes a sexy pose, winking her eye, which causes all the male students near her to stare at her with heart-filled eyes. Blessing, charm, and attractive body odor is always emitted from your body. The probability of capturing and dominating the hearts of the opposite sex increases significantly. The saintess reprimands the blonde to stop the charm blessing, to which Jang Mi-yeon says she is sorry. But with an innocent smile says she really has no idea how to stop it. An innocent goddess hates impure relationships. With shock, the saintess remarks that it's too late, and tells Mi-yeon to look at her status window. Upon looking, she is shocked to find the curse of retribution listed in her status window. She wonders why she received a curse when she is a hero. To which the saintess explains that blessings are not the only things that gods can give. They can also give curses to heroes they don't like. Oh brother, bad news for her. As a handprint forms on her back, she screams with pain as all the hearts floating around her are shattered in half. Curse, retribution, all the damage and malicious comments you receive increase significantly. Every time you try to have an impure relationship, you will get a fierce punishment. She quickly apologizes and said she will stop right away. An innocent goddess keeps watching. A male god whistles. A male god feigns ignorance. The saintess goes on to say that once you receive a blessing or a curse, it will be with you for the rest of your life, so be warned. The higher the rank of a blessing or curse, the more effective it will be, and once it goes up in rank, it can never go back down. The blonde complains that if an F-rank curse hurts so much, she would be done for if it ranks up any higher. The princess encourages her not to give up, since there are ways to offset a curse with blessings, like leveling up your body and mind, so that the punishment will not hurt as much. Now back to our main character, he notices something strange as he holds the bloody stone in his hands. He remarks, why isn't his level going up after killing so many higher level monsters? Could it be due to the hero's curse? Or is this world's leveling up really supposed to be so hard? He addresses his god as the lonely wolf and asks if he had any useful information. A god demands to be called Loner for short. Loner, do you have any useful information? As the hooded figure crosses his arms. A god clearly says that they cannot provide any. Ah, he sees, so basically besides the blessing, his god is useless. A god complains that it's boring to keep running. While running with the sword in his hand, Han-soo agrees. He has been running through the forest for hours, but he doesn't feel any hunger, thirst or fatigue. A god advises you to try something else. The hero suggests maybe we can try to find someone? At that moment, a couple of werewolves stumble nearby commenting they smell human meat. While our hero crouches down behind a tree to avoid detection. The hooded figures cheers our hero on, a god wishes for the powerless loner to die comfortably. Without paying much attention to his god, looking at the sword and the monsters sniffing around, he changes from being hunted to becoming the hunter. Well, stay tuned to find out what happens in the next episode. Until next time.